chicken. Ooh. Hey, welcome to Life Extension Live. Robson got me. I wasn't ready.
We really get into that intro music.
I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
All right. Great topic today, right? We're going to be talking about protein, specifically from plant sources. Mm-hmm. Hey, good news, Dr. Crystal. More and more people are trying to get more plants and veggies into their diet. You and I have talked about something we both love, the 80-20 rule.
80-20 rule, and there it can be looked at in two different ways, right? If you look at your plate, 80% of your plate should be plants, greens, colorful colors from the rainbow, 20% lean protein. But you can look at it as just an overall lifestyle. 80% of the time, I'm going to have plant-based foods, and then meat can be something that can be your excursion from time to time. I really like that.
And I know a lot of people are also doing kind of like the meatless Monday stuff.
Oh yes.
And so that's great news. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about, regardless of plant, meat, whatever, you got to make sure you're getting enough protein every day.
And people often think, or just say, like for vegetarians or vegans or anyone consuming a plant-based diet, the number one question is, how do you get your protein?
Yeah. Why'd you say it like that?
Because the bros want to know how to get the protein.
Yeah. So on today's show, we're going to talk about short-term and long-term benefits of getting just the right amount of protein. We're going to talk about plant versus meat and some new terminology. There's going to be some good stuff there. And we'll talk about which are the best sources. So let's get right into this. You and I, we make a big deal about protein intake. Mm-hmm. It's really critical, and it's not just, yes, a big part of that is your own muscles that you get from that. We talk about Living Forever-ish, our podcast, that's so important. Mm-hmm. But there are many other benefits of protein. So we got it broken up into short and long, so we can take a look at that. Hannah, there we go. Take us through that, Dr. Crystal.
So of course, growth, tissue repair. This is after a surgery, any type of injury, immune system function for your protein, muscle, skeletal mass, as you mentioned, mental performance, mood, sleep patterns. Those amino acids that make up those proteins, they are precursors to neurotransmitters, those brain chemicals, detoxification. So those are the short-term outcomes. And then long-term benefits of protein. Yeah. Of course, overall aging, age-related muscle loss, bone function. You're thinking about, avoiding osteoporosis as you get older. And of course, nutrition-related chronic diseases, allowing the body
like
the ability to repair.
Yeah,
exactly.
Falls under there. So a lot of benefits across the board for making sure you get enough protein every single day.
Can I throw in a bonus?
What's that?
Skin. Collagen, one of the most abundant proteins in the body. You think about that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, we want, again, make sure you're getting enough every day. So this brings it back then, if we are going to start eating more plants, we need to know, like, what plants should we be eating? I mean, eat a variety, right? We're not saying that, but there are some standouts in all of this. Now, before we get to that, the reason meat has been kind of considered the go-to, right, is because meat has always been called complete protein, and plants were always called incomplete. So tell us about what is complete?
So when you look at protein is made up of amino acids, right? And some of those amino acids we can make in our body, and there are 20 that's needed to make proteins. Some of those are essential amino acids, others are non-essential. And so when we say that a protein is complete, that means that it's giving you all 20 of those amino acids.
Right, yeah. And meat does that. So that's why it was always called that. But for years and years and years in the industry, we were calling plants the incomplete part of that, right? Meaning they don't have all of that. Dr. Crystal, let's set the record straight. Has that ever been correct?
No! Right. It's just shocking, this idea of incomplete protein, that you will see this terminology all over the internet in research papers. And the fact is, all protein sources from animals or plants contain all of the amino acids.
The amino acids that we use as humans are, very similar to the amino acids that plants use and everything. And they need all of them to make their protein So it makes sense. So the question then, so I guess we're moving beyond that word incomplete, right?
We are. I would like to remove that from the dictionary as it relates to protein.
It's going to take time.
But you do see researchers, the literature is now kind of going away from that idea of incomplete protein.
I agree. It's just going to take time because it's ingrained in so many people. And even you might, by accident say, oh, well, it's incomplete because you're just so used to it.
Yes.
But that's not the case. So instead, what we're focusing on, and this is where the new terminology is coming in. This is stuff that you probably haven't really heard about. It's the idea now, not so much of incomplete, because they're all complete. It's the quality of the protein or the amino acids you're getting from that source.
Exactly. And so what we do find that there are limiting amino acids in many of your plant-based protein sources, meaning the plant-based protein will contain all 20 of those amino acids that's needed to make the protein, but maybe they may not have as much of an individual amino acid. So it maybe it's not as high quality. The other component in quality is digestibility.
Right.
Those amino acids, are they like reactable in the body? Are they involved in other processes and not really digested as well? So we now look at protein quality as the amount of the amino acids present as well as the digestibility of those amino acids.
Right, and then taking those two factors, right, the amount, digestibility, there is researchers have come up with a scoring system that's going to help us to decide out of all these different plant-based sources, which is an excellent source, which is a good source, or which is probably not so great source, I guess.
Now, I'll tell you this. How about this? I have a question for you.
What?
Pop quiz for Dr. Mike. He's always quizzing me. Boom. On the table.
Wait. You know what's so funny? I was wondering, you put that there, and I was wondering when you're going to get to this.
Okay.
What's the question?
You ready?
What?
So when we talk about high quality protein, plant-based protein, this is a potato.
It's a potato.
I brought a potato, and then we have some red kidney beans here.
Okay, like them both.
Red kidney beans.
Yeah. Okay. So which
do you think is a better protein source?
Well,
what about let's ask our viewers.
Protein versus kidney beans.
Potato versus kidney beans.
I mean, potato versus kidney beans. I feel like this is kind of a setup. I think the obvious answer to me would be the beans. I mean, right? That's like your go-to next source after meat, right?
That's what we think. We have to have some beans in my plant-based
protein. So I would
protein.
say, I don't know about anybody who's watching, I'd say beans. But I knew it was, that's what I meant. I knew it was a setup. You set me up. Oh, because did I fail? Like you failed yet last live show?
You did, but I'm not going to say that you failed. There were just opportunities in your response.
Oh, so PC, correct. Yeah, so that's it. And so okay, now that I get where you're going with this now, though, right? Because based on now this new scoring system, and we're going to get to this, that the potato is scoring higher.
It is scoring higher.
Ooh, look at you. Yeah. So this new scoring system, is it pretty common now? Is manufacturers using this yet?
So we are seeing the scoring system used to determine whether or not a brand can label their product as an excellent source of protein, a good source of protein, or maybe not make a claim at all on label. So you are seeing that. But we don't have a lot of data on the full array of plant foods that's available right now. It's a newer way of scoring.
Yeah, here. So taking those two factors, you have this scoring system: digestible, indispensable amino acid score. What did you want to call it? Just what was it?
Diaz.
Diaz. What is it called?
That's
Diaz?
just what I'm calling it.
We're just making that
unofficial.
Up. Yeah. So they take those two factors into account, and then they come up with the score. And here you have if a protein source. And this isn't really just about plants either. Meat falls all. They could.
Yes.
Yeah, you could score anything with this. So if a protein source is greater than 100, it's excellent. So I would assume, since kind of red meats are standard, red meat must be 100 or even better.
More than, and the score, you can go above 100.
So red meat would be like, that's because that's kind of the standard of, whatever.
Yes.
Good on this DIAS scores, as you say, is between 99 and 75, and then less than 75, that's where, the quality is probably not that great, so you're not going to put that on the label.
Right, exactly.
Right. So this is where if you're shopping now and you see a plant-based source and it says excellent source of protein, it's coming from this scoring system.
That's right.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look. We have one of the things I wanted to ask you though about.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the actual food sources we have here. So milk is high in protein. And you told me it actually ranks really high on this, right?
Yeah, so milk, for example, the score is above 100, about 122 for milk. And what that means is that it provides more than 100% of your protein requirements.
So if I have a standard 8 ounce, I get what is that your standard 8 ounce cup of milk or whatever? That cup, when I drink that, I'm getting a decent amount of all those 20.
You are. So you are getting all those amino acids, the 20 amino acids, and those amino acids are very digestible.
Right.
Like they are being digested very well.
So let's take a look. We have 10 we have 10, what was that, Rob said? We have 10 high quality protein sources based on the DS. Mm-hmm. We got to just keep reminding people we're making DS we're making that up. Not the scoring system. We're making up how to say it. But again, most of these plant sources are actually in kind of the mid 70, 80 range.
Right. Most of your plants will be in that range.
They're not most of your meat sources are going to be over that 100, right? But on this, soy, which is a very common alternative to meat, right? Yeah. Scored a 92.
I know. Really, it's most people's go-to sources of proteins, the soy milks.
That's great.
We've talked about this when we did kind of our plant-based milk show.
Yeah.
Remember? And
you did.
And soy was one of the ones that just overall gave you the most protein, the amino acid composition. Tofu.
It was the cashew milk I hated. Wasn't that the one that really gave me a rough time?
I think that was the one that you didn't like.
But here it is. I should have looked at this before. Mm-hmm. The potatoes at 85. And the kidney beans are 61.
Right. So you typically think of potatoes as more of the carbohydrates and the starches, but you get some pretty good protein. A potato like this will give you about 4.5 grams of protein, and that protein is highly digestible. One reason I think is because it doesn't have as much fiber. And fiber can maybe
hold on to stuff.
Hold on. And
fiber may play a role in that digestibility thing, right? So, so if at the end of the day, a serving of that potato is going to be a higher quality protein than the serving of the red kidney bean.
That's right.
Woo! Yes. Does that shock some of you? It kind of shocks me a little bit.
It does, because you typically think of beans and nuts. Legumes.
Well, here we have, so oat is 70, lentils are 75.
I love lentils.
Chickpeas, love those, 69. Peas in general, 66. Rice, 52.
Yeah.
That's going to have a no claim thing, but that's not so bad on, the whole.
Right.
When you look at all the plants out there.
You won't see a excellent source of protein on your rice packet.
You're not going to see any sort of claim about protein on your rice. Barley 50 and peanut 47.
I know.
Digestibility.
It must be the
digestibility
component.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right.
That was fascinating. Now, keep in mind, you still see people talk about total amount of protein per serving, right? Mm-hmm. And that's different than looking at quality, right? Because we know, for instance, beans in general, about 40 or so grams of protein in 1 cup. All types of peanuts, around 36 grams per cup. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other tofu, about 22 grams. Soybeans cooked and that sounds good. But remember, it's really about how much you're getting into your system.
Yep.
How much are you actually utilizing? Yes. And that's where quality comes in. And a lot of these here although they're high in total protein, are low in quality.
Right. So we've given you some different sources of high quality protein, but really the takeaway is if you are venturing into the world of vegetarian, vegan, adding in more plants, and you're kind of Googling things, you need to Google high quality protein. We kind of need to rethink
how you're searching for all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So let's move on now. One of the big things as people move to like a vegetarian diet or the 80-20, flexitarian, all that kind of stuff, is combining. I remember that was big, right? You take this plant source with this plant source, and now you're getting complete protein. We already know that's not, you're getting complete out of both of them.
Yes.
It's just the quality. Are we still combining that way then?
So there are two schools of thought on that. So I will share the old school way is that, yes, you still combine. I saw a 2023 research paper where it showed the DS scores for the proteins and showed how you can combine the plant-based proteins to get a score up to 100.
Okay.
So they'll
Gotcha.
like if you take if you think about, if we look back at our list, if you take barley, mix it with rice is at 52, barley's 50.
They combine.
And now you have 100. So there are lists like that. We'll kind of show you that combination to get those scores up.
And of course, if we're being real about how people eat, you're not just going to sit down and eat rice. People are going to add stuff to it anyway.
Yes, and so that's going into the new school way of thinking about this. What researchers are saying, don't overthink the combining process.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be with every single meal. You have to have the rice with the beans and the this and the that. And now you're overthinking it. Really, if you are consuming a variety of plant-based
you're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah, you had some of your favorite. You said pinto beans and corn tortillas.
Yes. You think about a taco. You go to a nice Mexican restaurant.
So good.
They always have like the red beans, the pinto beans. So that's really good. I also like, what else did I put on my paper?
Black beans and rice.
Of course.
Classic.
Lentils
and whole wheat.
Or naan.
Oh, wait, naan bread. Yeah,
Yes.
Naan bread. Yeah, that would be good. And then hummus. Love hummus. I can eat the whole thing of hummus in one
So
sitting.
hummus and pita. So, a lot of the foods that you typically see combined in many cultural dishes, they maybe they didn't know why, but they've made these perfect high quality protein combinations.
It's fascinating. This is really brand new stuff. A lot of what we're talking about is really still at the research level.
Yeah.
But we do think you're going to start seeing a movement more about talking about quality in the scoring system versus just total content of protein in at least plant-based sources. So, Dr. Crystal, you love this, didn't you? This is right
I
up
do.
your alley.
Now, Lori had a question, and I just want to just briefly comment on Lori's question. We had some. We were going to touch on the benefits that you get from plants outside of protein.
Okay, because there was some studies showing methionine and coming from beef, and it was causing some issues. Yeah, okay, but
right. So we do believe that you should not. The animal protein, specifically red meat, should not be the feature on your plate in every meal.
Yeah, because the plants are giving you the polyphenols. They're giving you your number one thing,
fiber.
It's so much nutrients. We worry in this country about people eating what are essentially empty calories, right? It's just so many high calories, low nutrition.
Yeah.
And so much of what we're eating, but plants reverse that completely.
Yeah, they're giving you magnesium, they're giving you B vitamins. They are, and of course, the polyphenol, antioxidants. So, even beyond protein, that's another reason to add more plants to your plate.
I'm hungry. I don't know why. I just all of a sudden I got hungry.
You were thinking about that hummus.
Oh man,
You got excited about the hummus and pita.
I love it. I'll dip anything
Whole
in
grain
hummus.
pita.
I'll put vegetables into the hummus. I don't care. Take a spoon and just eat the hummus. That's good stuff. By the way, there's a great article on this at lifeextension.com. There it is on the screen, lifeextension.com/plant protein. It goes into a lot more of this. Even I think some more veggies. Our plant sources are on there as well. And while you're there at Life Extension, hey, shop around. When you're ready to check out, use the discount code LE Live. You see it right there on your screen. You get 10% off plus free shipping and handling when you spend $50 or more. That's from our sponsor, Life Extension. So that's really cool. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time, whatever channel you watch us on, because we're on multiple channels now.
We are YouTube.
You'll
find the show.
I always forget what they are. I always have to look over at Hannah because I don't remember what they are. But there's more than just Facebook. So wherever you watch us, follow us, subscribe, whatever that system is, so that way you always get like a reminder we're about to go, because we love doing these shows. You guys are an awesome audience that's going live every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. I'm Dr. Mike.
I'm Dr. Crystal.
We'll see you next Wednesday.